really kind of, hello, everybody, we're live. I'm getting over this talk. Cheap is not always better. I still disagree with Streamyard jacking the price and killing us all, but cheaper is not always better. All right, I got to send this to Cause.
Welcome, everybody, to our own little piece of hell.
It is just being dumb.
I know. Well, it's okay. It's a day already. We haven't even started, and it's a day.
But the thing is, it's about communication. Here's a little pre-show ramble. It is about communication, and we set up a bunch of new accounts that we're going to talk about on the show live here when we hit record in a second. But I got ahead of the game. I set everything up. And it only told me YouTube wouldn't do it because it takes 24 hours. Then we go live, and it says Facebook won't do it, and I have to literally destroy the entire thing that was scheduled to come in. And then it's like, yeah, we don't like you. All right. But you know what we do like? We like our interests.
We like each other, maybe, on a good day.
Sometimes, most of the time.
Did we get cousin?
I gave her the link. It is what it is at this point. Here we go.
Hi, everybody. We're going to have music.
Gmail.com joined.
Oh, she joined.
All right, here we go.
Okay.
Oh, are you tired of being awesome alone? Well, so are we. So Tyra and I are going to talk about kicking in the door as a podcasting guest. Come on, let's be awesome together.
Has already been exciting.
It has indeed,
and not necessarily in a good way. Let's just say that.
But everybody made it. Cause
we're
here. You're here. I'm here. You can hear me. I can hear you.
Right? Because before I couldn't hear him. It was not good.
Although that's probably the best sounding I was to you ever, I would imagine.
No, it's quite frustrating because I don't know if you're like foobarring something without me knowing it, and I like to know those things. So
you like to see the car wreck coming, and not just get it.
I want to know that the car wreck is coming.
The car wreck's always coming with me. It's just a matter of when, I guess. But that is not what we're here to talk about, Tyra. We are here. Shelfwatch 20. What just happened to our layout?
What did you do?
I didn't touch it. I'm literally not touching anything.
So now it's possessed.
Apparently.
And I'm also on the wrong side.
But it's the way we're angled. Look,
I'm also Charles McFall tonight too.
You weren't, but see, the thing was, you weren't 5 minutes ago.
No,
it is a machine possessed for sure.
I am not Charles McFall.
But you want to be, and we understand that.
No, I don't. I
do
do not.
Everybody wants to be.
No. My husband likes girls, so that
women want to be me, men want to do me, or something like that. I don't know.
Oh, gross. Okay, we're going to bring this down a notch. We are not an adult podcast, and I can't change my own name. So help me, Lord, please. This is going to be a lot. Anyway, Shelfwatch.
Shelfwatch.
It is what it is. We did have a discussion about Shelfwatch, and we did think about putting the curtains up, but then we had guests coming, my in-laws, and so that did not happen. And so we're discussing it. Sooner or later we'll get it taken care of.
Okay, I'm sure you will. It'll be fine.
Charles, can you try to make me not Charles?
I don't think that I can.
Oh, I figured it out.
Okay, good, because I don't believe that I can change that from my side. There's definitely, we'll tackle that. We will tackle that on one of our topics. We need to put that in our notes to tackle when tech goes wrong, or how you can only prepare so much in doing your research and you still won't know all the bumps in the road.
I just want to say that, it's our show and something's going to go wrong. I mean,
why would you say negative self-talk like that?
I'm sorry, Charles, but have you been around the last few weeks?
A lot of us got super awesome and been great, just like we are super awesome and great.
Yes, dear.
You can only know what you can know. But tonight we're going to talk about being a podcast guest. But before that, we're going to talk about something that was making us joy-filled this week. What's made you happy
What
this
made me
week?
happy this week? Let's see. Well, I went to Southern Fried. I had a lovely time. Everybody might notice. Crap, I can't do this. Over there's our new logo that we're trying on for size. And yeah, I guess that's what's good. I've been getting things done. The house is looking better, which is good because we have guests.
Yeah. I've never understood that, honestly. To a point,
What,
I mean, I guess
having
I
guests?
do. Well, that, yeah, no, I don't know. I don't want to guess. But, to a point, it's like, okay,
I mean, our whole show tonight is about being a guest.
in the podcast world, 1,000%. But in the house, where it's like, oh, God forbid somebody thinks our house has ever lived in, especially when you have 4 kids. And yes, it does give an excuse to kind of clean up the piles. But overall, I don't need my guests, Cody Fingers, thinking I have a spotless home. I'm a busy man. She's a busy woman. We are busy people. You're going to get what you get, just like on a podcast. You show up, and the podcast is lived in, man. Sometimes there's in jokes. Sometimes there's other things. I keep coming up with great transitions, but I'm not ready to transition yet. So I'm just on the ball tonight.
We're just all over the place is what we are.
I
Oh,
am.
what the
Hey, our station boo. Wee.
Oh,
Man.
I love our station. Boo.
So we definitely have made a lot of good progress in the last couple of weeks.
We did. We made a lot of progress today. Oh, look at you making sounds.
I wasn't sure if that was going to work or not.
I don't know. Did y'all hear it out there in podcast land?
So hopefully, if you heard it, hopefully they heard it. So here's the thing. I'm going to go ahead and skip to the end, right? Because we have all of our new stuff up that you need to start following. We are double streaming on Twitch tonight. It's the only one of the new accounts that would let us go live. Facebook, by the way, is going to take 60 days.
What?
Before we can. That's what popped up when I tried to go live at 8:02 after having to destroy the first one that said we could go live. But it was like, oh, Facebook will let you because you're brand new, which we are. We set it up, I think, today, give or take. Maybe not quite today, but very recently we set it up. And so the first one, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what all that was.
Okay.
Yes, when I got in to reset the live, it was Facebook won't let you go live for 60 days. So,
60 days?
So, yes. So we'll be uploading the video there as time permits. And,
That'll
of course,
be
you can
forever.
find it's if you were married forever and got divorced after 60 days, I don't think anybody would say that was a long time, Tyra. It feels like a long time as creators. But
It's the
we will
internet,
get
lad.
there.
60 days is a long time.
I don't know. We may bomb Canada by then, but that's not.
Shush. I like Canada.
That's not for tonight.
Oh, Lord. It's going to
so
be one
look.
of those.
Go follow Be Awesome Together Show at Instagram. Be Awesome Together on Facebook. YouTube. Did I not get the YouTube link in here? Apparently not, but it's also Be Awesome Together.
And the Instagram link looks like crap because I can't.
We
connect
just got it set up. It's a work in progress. These are not guests, Tyra. These are family. These people are family who are going to help us build everything. Dang it. They help move the boxes into the house. We do have our Patreon up, patreon.com/beawesometogethershow.
Oh my
is
gosh,
there.
we're finally on Patreon.
Yeah.
All
And of course,
right.
Twitch is, and that's not in our notes either. Twitch is Be Awesome Together, I do believe.
I don't know. I don't even know where the
I
notes
set it
are.
up,
Oh,
so-
there you are. Charles did something in the show notes. I'm so excited.
I put it. We did work today, and I put it where it belongs, and I put it on the template. I just didn't add YouTube and Twitch. I did miss those.
That's just awesome. And,
And
he
we-
set us up a link tree, didn't you?
And there's a link tree. Be Awesome Together show. I don't know. I'm in the midst of copying everything and putting it in.
I don't know. I had to clean house and make tacos tonight. So
So the reason we bring all that up, right, is next week we'll probably do a dual stream as well, maybe the week after, but then it's going to be everything's going to be on the Be Awesome Together channels. So get used to it. Go ahead and like, subscribe, follow, and all the places you like to be. I know Earth Station Boo is on Twitch, and I know I think Valencia is on YouTube. Although we haven't
I haven't
seen
seen
Valencia. in a hot
Valencia.
minute.
Where the heck is Valencia?
So
It
but
is the little things.
It
Oh
is.
my God.
But I'm very happy with the progress we've made, and as you can kind of see, the corner of the logo is there, and that took a a lot of effort.
That was a
It
hot
took
mess.
a lot of work.
Hot mess.
Um,
I'm gonna
so-
I'm gonna do a post where once we launched ourselves that shows how the
Oh, yeah.
progression changed because it's hilarious.
That needs to go into our Patreon. I mean, honestly, when you really want the transparency, right? You really want to see how everything's not done and not just hear how it's done. That's going to be patreon.com. Be Awesome Together show is we're going to put everything up there. All the rough. We'll probably do a quick video together, Tyra, of you
We
going
need
through,
to.
and we'll
We
talk
need
about
to.
how the transition, so people learn not just here's how you can do marketing, or here's its thought processes and frustrations. I mean, Tyra had to leave. She tried to go right. She couldn't write.
Not right today. Worth the crap. And very
Yeah, so,
upsetting.
And the more I got off of my plate, and this is how I think every creator is, the more I got off of my plate, the more it seemed to, it was like digging sand out of a tunnel. It just kept caving in with more and more stuff and writing more and more stuff down. So one of those things is, as the digital media spokesperson for Dragon Con,
Ah, yes.
it is that time of the year. We want to be doing interviews all through July and August leading up to the show. At
There's
the end
like
of August.
3 of you, isn't there?
There is. And I've been tasked specifically as a digital media person to get a list of the digital people that I work with that would be worthy, as Dan put it, I think he was a little tongue in cheek there, but that would be worthy to interview us. And it can be anybody. It's Renee from Animation Track. It's Joe from, I believe it's the Comic Track that meets in the vendor showroom. They have a track in the back. It's America's Mart. She's the second on there. And I know she's in the vendor hall, but I don't think it's tied to the vendor hall. You know what I'm saying?
There's a whole artist alley. There's a whole programming area up there.
Yeah, yes. So that's where she's out of. And man, she's super organized, and she just, well, all of us have different flavors. So you can ask for any of us or just put up the topics or what type of show you're doing, and we would love to be there. And that's the first step to being a guest, is just putting it out there saying, hey, I want
True.
to be a guest on your show. So Tyra, where are we
Yes.
going with a point number? We got a 7-point sermon tonight, so everybody get ready. Lock
7
in.
point
Get the
sermon.
offering ready to go. Come on.
Praise be. Praise the digital gods who let us be here today because it was iffy. So I guess let's start with, I don't know where to start. I guess I could look over here and see where I'm supposed to start. Be the guest they never forget. So how
In
do
a
you
good
get,
way.
In a
You
good
need to
way.
make that in a good way.
Okay. So a couple of things. A lot of shows will have calls for guests and that you can like apply to be one. Our friend Bob Magoo has a form you can fill out to be on one of his podcasts. We have a form. So a lot
We're
of
going to
times,
make it public on our website, too.
yeah, we will
Ah.
definitely.
I bought the website today, by the way.
That's
We have a
exciting.
URL. It
Oh,
says in
what is the
progress. That's
URL?
all it says, but we have it.
What is the URL?
BeAwesomeTogetherShow.com.
Okay. Awesome. Love it. So a lot of times if there's someplace you're thinking you want to be on, you might can find a sign-up sheet. Earth Station Boo does a form. So forms seem to be big. Thank God for Google Drive. That's all I've got to say. One thing to do, especially if you're going to have guests on your shows, is set up yourself a Google Drive or a Docbox or whatever makes you happy. I know what doesn't make me happy, which is OneDrive. So there will be no OneDrive in this show.
No, I don't
No,
know.
we're a Google Drive show, but set up stuff in there so you've got your form and everything falls into that folder. And on that form, so let's say I'm kind of skipping around and I'm totally sorry. Should I wait for that? I'm going to wait for that. We'll talk about how you can set up that form as a show, but you should do research on the show that you want to go on or after
That's
you've been
number
accepted.
one. That is number one. Listen to the show. I've got 2 out of the 3 shows that I do right now. One I just produced. Well, can do more than that, but one I produce. The other 2 are Be Awesome. In this example, Be Awesome Together and Wise and Nerdy. So Be Awesome Together, we haven't hit it where AI is scraping our data and the publicists find us. Right? I'm pretty sure that's a new tool out there. Is AI is getting some keywords and topics, and publicists are reaching out. So on the Metron Live is the one that I produce, and it really is like a TED Talk one guy stands there and it's an outward going message, and there's never a guest unless he knows somebody personally, and it's very, 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 very rare. But it'd be like having a guest speaker or a guest lecturer kind of deal. It's not interviews, it's not that kind of thing. And I am constantly 2 to 3 times a week getting emails because I'm the producer on record, so I get all the emails for the show. And it's obvious they haven't listened. It's like, hey Jim, when you mentioned the three kings and the stars, it reminded me of Bob, who wrote The Stars in Our Eyes. And I mean, it's just the worst. Like, they've never listened. It grabs a few keywords and it's the worst. So don't do that. You got to listen to the show, which flips me to the positive example on why, as a nerdy, we have hit that level where AI is scraping fatherhood stuff, which is perfect for us, and comedy and those kind of things. And we're starting to get.
You got a
agents
great
reach
guest
out.
this last week.
Oh yeah, we had the dad bod veteran on, John Wellington, and he was fantastic, and he's up and coming in the stand-up comedy world, and just go listen to that show. It's amazing. But that's actually the cream of the crop way reach out. We'll talk about that in a second. But everybody who reaches out, we have a formula email that I send back that says, first off, we go and look at the guests. We go look at see if it would fit at all. So you have to, if you reach out to somebody, have links, right, Tyra?
Oh yes, have links. Also have a one sheet. I mean, I
Ooh,
think
yeah,
that's
that's helpful.
super important. That kind of says, okay, this is who I am. This is what I do. This is where I'm at on the web, so you can check me out. And kind of like, a little tiny paragraph, a sentence or two, something that really says like, okay, this is me.
Yes. And so after we look that up, because I'm not going to Google anybody, throw in a link, because honestly, that's just baseline professionalism. Don't make the person you're asking a favor from, because when you're asking to be on a show, did I mention I need to be on more shows? I'm asking favors. Look at me right here. We're showing you what I'm doing right here. But don't make them do the work. Send whatever, at least two different things, right? A link that has your favorite stuff. It could be Instagram if you love Instagram. It could be YouTube. It could be that kind of thing. And then something about yourself. Either a link to your About Me page on your website, or a one sheet, something that says this is who I am, or just put it in the body of the email. But show them your work. So when we say that this guest will probably be okay, we then take the form letter and we send it back. Says, cool, we think they will fit, but here's our process. And I put in a link. It's going to be Dad Bod Veteran after this week, because they'll be releasing at the end of this week, and it'll be Dad Bod Veteran. But I send a YouTube with the time that we had one. Wow, there's so much noise on your side. So later on in the show, we're going to talk about how to turn your phone off with
How
your
to be
guest.
professional, unlike Tyra.
No. So we'll talk about the vibe of the show too, but we'll get there. But basically, I sent a link of when we had a guest on, and I said, this is kind of a game show, improv comedy feel where we talk about real things. The guest really needs to understand how we operate. And I send a video. And I said they need to listen to it. So far, it's not gone wrong. I do anticipate a time when the agent's like, yeah, sure, whatever. And we're going to axe the guest because they're not going to fit. But that's all you can do on the show side is that. And once they come back and say, yes, they've watched it, they love it, then we're good to go. And I will say the Dad Bod Veterans, his agent, she was fantastic. Not only did she reference personal things, I don't remember exactly what she wrote, but I remember something that she wrote. Both Joe and I went, no, they might have found us through an AI search, but this was absolutely, she looked at what we did and referenced something specific.
That's awesome.
And then she was very ready to go, and she forwarded everything to John, so he had it up on the screen ready to go of our segments and how it rolls. The only thing he didn't know was the dice, so I guess he'd only skimmed, and I'm guilty of that. I skimmed through the shows of things that I'm going to be on, but other than that, it was a great fit. So that was the cream of the crop. She buried the lead. She didn't lead with his online identity. She said John Wellington, and then put a generic link in, and as soon as I clicked on it and saw that was him, I was like, oh yeah,
oh yes,
yeah, absolutely,
yes, 100%, yes.
But yeah, when make sure you listen. So out of all that, Tyra, what do you have to refine and add?
So I'm going to show everybody my one sheet. Ignore the part over here. Let me go close that. There we go. We don't need to see that part. Okay, so here we are. So this is just a basic one sheet, and I need to update mine a little bit to kind of talk a little bit more about what I'm doing and have the show on here. But this is what I used last year at Dragon Con and leading up to it. So basically, I have 3 C's that I talk about on my website, that I'm a creator, a communicator, and a connector. So those are kind of my pillars that I talk about, and then have a little bit about me, and then I have what I do. And then links to all my things. And then I have a little blurb, 7,000 plus followers across all platforms. So that giving people a reference for if you do have a social media following that's, reasonable to mention, that's a good place to mention it. Just having people know what you talk about. Like I have things that say lover of coffee, Disney, Star Wars, Star Trek, Agatha Christie, The Lord of the Rings, Criminal Minds, Marvel's Hawkeye, and Jameson. So you want to talk whiskey, I'm your girl. So it gives people some idea of the topics that would be good. It also says something about my background. So I'm getting ready to redo this one, but this is what I've been using for a while.
If somebody wanted to find that so they could replicate it, would that be on your website?
I believe it's on my website, she says with slight trepidation.
So I'm not trying to throw you under the bus, but it should
No,
be, right?
But
this is
there
something
was
you
a
want
bus and you
public
threw me
facing.
under.
No, it's speed. We can't stop her. It explodes. It's not my
Let me
fault.
see. I'm looking to see if it's in my about section. No, but there's a lovely picture of me and my husband. Appearances press.
Because you have press kits, all kind of stuff up on your site.
I do. I have a portfolio on my site, which is much more like this in depth, that talks a little bit more about all the things I've done. Because having a portfolio, if you're a creator, can be super important, especially if you're also like me and you're trying to get consulting gigs. So that was why I put together a portfolio. And it really should be on my about page, but it's not. And so I feel the need. Let's see if it's in.
And the reason I ask is I'm like, ooh, send that to me. I'm just going to copy it, put my own colors in there, this and that, other one. Oh, then I thought, hey, it's part of what we do. It can go to our Patreon. But honestly,
Here.
it really should be there's a book, All Good Artists Steal. Is what it says. And it really is that we're influenced. We see something like that and go, oh my goodness, that's amazing. I'm going to take it and replicate it and make it my own. And even if you do the same format, this is not new, right? This is not something that is proprietary.
Oh, no.
And honestly, Tyra and I are the type of people that we want to share. And so most everything we put out is going to be as public as we can make it. And what is this now that we are looking at?
So this is my press kit. So I have a media kit that's under press that talks about, hey, this is me, a little bit more about me. And then it has what I've done and tells about my properties. I don't have Be Awesome on here, and I should. And then at the end, it says topic examples for speaking, topic examples for workshops. Here I am on the web, and where you can get a headshot if you need one.
And here's a honest question.
Yes.
How successful has this been in getting you to be a guest on shows and speaking events?
Most of the time, people already know me.
Okay.
So I would say for me, this hasn't exactly been a big push, but it's something that if somebody looks up my website, then they're going to see this. And yes, it did. So I have under my about section, I have a section for press, and it has photos to download if people want to use them. I have a media kit. I have my portfolio. I'm kind of frightened. I don't know what my one page is, so we'll find out together. I think it is that. I do have it on the web.
Yay! You do have it on your site.
I thought I would, but you don't want to ever overpromise. And then I also have media kits off of my 2 books. I should have media kits on all of the podcasts that I do as well, should be on there. So that's something that I need to work on. But they definitely are in my portfolio. And
we do have a part 2 of branding coming up next week, and we'll probably
do.
cover some of these things. But this is good marketing towards being on the show. But we're still in section 1, and we're 20 minutes in.
I know. So let me get this off the screen so we can go back to what we were doing.
Which we talked about scouting the show before, and you want to vet your guests, right? You want to.
We're not at the guest part. We're at the you're being a guest.
You're right. We're being the guest, so you want to make sure you listen to the show and know what it is you're walking into, because definitely, me If I go into a religious show, I need to know that so I don't start doing my edgy comedy, my aggressive. And what I do here on this show is not the edgy, aggressive comedy. That's a little more wise and nerdy and a lot more pretty much everywhere else.
Yeah.
So
He's got Tyra with
but,
the gentle
you know,
heart.
you need to know, or you need to know, there was a relationship podcast I was invited on that the title made it sound like a cozy fantasy, right? Just, we're going to talk about, but the reality was they talked nitty gritty everything. And I was like, cool. I'm glad I'm ready to go there. It's better to have than have not.
It's true, and possibly also with that show you were on.
Yeah. So know what you're going into. Have you ever been surprised, Tyra, as a guest? Like, oh, this is not where I thought this was going to be.
No. I think I've always been fairly well prepared. I think the other thing that you have to do, and this is especially when people are starting off, you're so worried about you needing to get the message out there about you and your stuff, and you're doing a circuit of podcasts or blogs or whatever, and you're doing them so you can promote your work, but don't let that be why you're there.
Yeah.
It's not to read your resume. It's not to push your stuff. I promise you, any good host worth their salt will make sure that you have time to talk about your stuff, and they will weave into the conversation talking about your stuff.
You know, on Wise and Nerdy, I've actually had a number of times where, and we tell them, we built in a commercial break for many reasons. One, to actually play commercials and monetize, but to kind of break up the show. Sometimes you need to reset. Sometimes you need to breathe for a second. And when you have a guest, this is the blatant time for you to blatantly market. And I cannot tell you how many times, maybe 2 or 3. I mean, it hadn't been a ton, but they were having so much fun. Like, yeah, just find me over at tyraburton.com. And,
right.
Just having, but it was there for them. And that's really, I mean, I do want them to promote, so I promoted for them. But really, as a guest, isn't that kind of what you want?
Yeah,
The trust that the host has with their audience, the connection they have. If they sell for you, that's 10 times better than you selling yourself, I think.
No, I totally agree. And I also think that it's when people buy stuff and then support people, they do it because they like the person.
Yep.
So like I might drop in on an episode of Earth Station Boo. I am not a Boo lover. I don't like horror. My husband's the horror guy. I found him a girlfriend. Just joking, not really a girlfriend. But substitute Tyra for when he wants to go do horror stuff. I have one of my high school besties loves kind of horror stuff. And so if he wants to go do that, I'm like, here, go with her. I don't want to go. So it's not like a date. We're very...
Yeah.
We're committed because next week's our 15th wedding anniversary. But yeah, I think that you want them to know who you are and your personality, and that's much more important because then they'll know, oh, yeah, no, I want to read her book because I like her and I think it will be interesting. The other thing is make sure that you have a landing place for them. So, like, if you hear me on here, it's always tyraburton.com. Always. Mm-hmm. Yes. Do I have an Instagram? Do I have Facebook? Do I have LinkedIn? Do I have all those things? Absolutely. Absolutely. Do I have a link tree? Absolutely. But tyraburton.com is a heck of a lot easier to say, remember, and go to. So think about where you want to send people. And that's what we call inbound marketing. Think about where you want to inbound them to that's going to very quickly get them to the things that you want them to see.
That is possibly the best advice you could ever hear. Second best is promote that episode like it's your own.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Unless you're me, which I don't promote my episodes very well. I'm trying to get better. So promote it like it's something you want to promote.
Right.
Because that's important. It's so frustrating to have a guest on and before and or after they don't say a peep about it. It's like, then why'd you come?
Right.
Are you just banking on my audience, which is okay, but it should be a give and a take.
100%. And a lot of times you can say, hey, where's the post? Where can I go see the stuff? Please tag me in it. Here's my tags. And they will be thrilled.
Yeah, include that in your email to them. And then afterwards, I like to send a gratitude email saying, hey, thanks for having me on.
Mm-hmm.
Please tag me and let me know when the posts are there so I can promote them. Those kind of things.
100%. Because if the better taste you leave in their mouth for you being there, the more likely they're going to tell their podcasting buddies that you were an awesome guest. Please go grab them. You know, because we talk to each other. We're a very incestuous family.
Whoa, why you getting on me about it being an adult podcast? Holy crap.
It is. I mean, we all know each other. I mean, this is the truth. Like, if we don't know you, we know somebody who knows you.
Now let's turn the tables. Haha, see what I did there?
You did. That was good.
What does it take to find and book guests that elevate your show? How do we get the guests that we're looking for?
I don't know. How do you do that, Charles? I mean,
That is tougher, right? One is refining who you are and getting your SEO, your keywords right, so when searchers are done,
yes,
that they matter, and be on all the platforms that you can be on.
Ooh, that was a lot of text we got.
Yeah, she's talking about how the links are in the show notes plus support on social. That basically, our station boost says they set up their guests for success.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, so this is a great, what Charles is talking about. Sorry, I had a glitch and I couldn't find the screen and I kind of freaked out.
Yeah, we wouldn't have known. Honestly, we didn't. No, we wouldn't have known. That was not a sarcastic remark.
Are you sure?
Well, now it is. But you don't know sarcasm, so why didn't you just take it literally if we wouldn't know?
Sarcasm hands.
Oh my God.
So what you said about SEO is very true. Like, I think Wise and Nerdy is like where fatherhood meets fandom is so awesome. Like, it just completely describes what you do. And so it's a great, if somebody's looking, they might find it based upon that.
Right.
Now, did you post anywhere trying to find guests? I haven't done this before.
Not yet. So, yes and no. Okay, I went to matchmaker.fm.
Are you sure this is
not? But no, yeah. Maybe it's not match. I think it's matchmaker.fm.
No, I was just going matchmaker, make me a match.
Yes. Yeah. Love potion number 9, all that jazz. Sure. But it's the same line. It's the same thing, matchmaker, right? It is. You're matching shows instead of relationships. But
awesome.
It's not great. I mean, for the free one, I guess. I think there's a paid one. But it's like everybody, it's like going to a dating event when you're 30s, right? Or or after a first marriage has ended one way or the other. Yeah. There's a little bit of a reek of despotism. There is some desperados, something like that. It's just a lot of blam, blam, blam. We think we'd be great for you, and they're not great for our show at all. They didn't look at any of the numerous links because it gave on your profile. You can link into your Instagram, YouTube, all that. You can even put up episodes. So I picked out episodes so you could listen right there in the thing, and it was not good. In fact, there was a publicist I talked to about a year ago that about 2 months after I talked to her, and she's the kind of publicist like, hey, pay me $1,000, I'll get you on 4 episodes or something. Right. Which it's not. I mean, sure, if you whatever. I'm not gonna yuck your yum. It's not for me. It's not who I'm looking to work for.
No. First off, don't do that unless you've got enough clout to be able to get on good shows. And their track record and everything else.
Yeah, because you and I talked about it afterwards. Like, whoa, get them to show you results. Get them to show you this. Like, well, I'm not really thinking about it anyway. It just wasn't for me. 2 months after I talked to him, I'm on that site and I get just a generic paragraph blast from her about my client. Oh no, I take that back too. So there was that one. It's like, well, obviously you don't listen to the show. This isn't a good fit. And they gave me another generic paragraph of why their person would fit without addressing what I said. Then I'm also on there as a guest, like have me as a guest on your show. And I got invited to a show and I went and looked at it and it was a pay to play. Half the ones I get invited to, like, hey, just offset our production cost of $500. I'm like,
No.
I actually did decline things like, this is a bit much. I don't know what kind of show you think you have, but there's no show worth their salt that's charging money. You should be able to monetize. If you get that good of an audience, you should be able to monetize and never charge your guests.
Right.
What's going and like, well, you don't understand this. And I went, this is what I want to know at a time. And I just cut them off to this. I went, I don't understand. Google Rock out of podcasting and find out how I don't understand. Multi-award nominated, worked with everybody in the business. I've worked on big shows, little shows, and not once have we ever charged for anything. So, does Joe Rogan charge for people to be on his show? I don't think so.
No, he actually pays them.
I know.
Just
So
saying.
it was just, and it was that publicist. It was that she was representing a show that wanted to offset their costs. I'm like,
Yeah, no.
It's so.
So
be
don't pay to
careful.
be on a show, people. Just don't.
No.
Just don't. And don't pay people to try to find you shows unless you're like really, really big and you have money to blow. Don't do those two things.
Now, as a guest, 100%. As a marketing thing, we can talk about that later. Like if you have a product and it just boosts you to say, look, I've been on this thing and this thing and this thing. You know, how you always look at a website and down at the bottom, like, I've worked on Forbes and Wall Street Journal and this, blah, 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 blah. And it's really, they did a little side thing, but they can list that they worked with that person.
So
Whatever.
there's a better way to do that. Get out where you're on there's some sites where you can answer questions for the press, and that will help you get places. Because like if you go to my website, you're going to find out that I've been on the Journal Record, the Manchester Times, Travel and Leisure, Fox 1141, Georgia 100, because I've been quoted in them.
Yeah, I think there's a ask a report, help a reporter.
Help a reporter.
Help a reporter is
So
one
go
of those.
go help a reporter. That's a better situation for that.
And there used to be one called Radio Guest List, and I'm not sure if it's still out, but Podcast Guest List is a thing. And I actually talked to a friend of mine who paid. It's not that expensive. I want to say it's, I think it's $90 a month. It could be $90 a year, but I think it's $90 a month. Which
That's
is,
a lot.
if it works, it's not a lot. You know, it gets you because they're popping out their newsletter every day, and you're at the top of the list as a featured. You paid for that spot. And it's fine. But I asked my friend Dave Jackson, I said, hey, I saw you pop up. What did you think? It got me a few interviews, but not really what I was looking for. And I've not had any success on that site either, because you can do a free thing and you can go through and apply to the shows. And I found people, and I did what we're talking about, did my research. Oh, here's exactly why I think I'd fit on your show. Here's what it brings to you. Doing the thing I'd want given to me as a host. And not even a no thank you. So I'm not even sure, honestly, if it's getting to them or anything like that. It's weird.
I am very iffy of any of that. So do your own recognizance. Find shows that you think you fit with, that are related to whatever genre or type of content that you have that you need to push, and talk to them directly. I think what Charles said, make sure you see their shows. For a show itself, don't expect somebody to watch an entire show. Just don't. Do a highlights reel.
Yeah.
That's something that we probably need to do at some point, is to put together a highlights reel where you can kind of see in, like, let's say less than 5 minutes, probably 2, that shows, hey, this is what Be Awesome Together is about. This is who Charles is. This is who Tyra is. If you want to be on our show, this is what you can look for. And then you can give them links to sample shows as well. Because sometimes, like for me, if I don't know you very well, I'm going to go listen to your podcast all the way through if I'm going to be on it. And I do the same thing with guests. One thing I do from a host standpoint, if I've got somebody who I don't know, and when I do the podcast for Coles, for Kennesaw State, I don't know these guests for the most part. So I do research. If they've been on other podcasts, I'm listening to them. I want to hear how they talk. The more important, like when you had the gentleman last week, whose name just left my brain, I would have made sure I knew what his content looked like. I would have deep dived and known what I could bring up that would excite him. Ask the questions that other people don't ask.
Yeah. Yes. And I like what you put here. Give them everything they need to say yes. This is as a show reaching out to guests. Logistics, when you record, how you record, those kind of things. And audience info, vibes. I like the vibes, but that's important. You need
It's
to know
true.
why as a nerdy what we're going for versus what we do. We've actually had a guest here on Be Awesome Together, then 2 nights later on Wise and Nerdy, and it is a
Yep.
different ball game there. And something we did skip earlier when you are going to be a guest, get a decent sounding microphone and have
Oh,
headphones,
yes,
and make sure
please.
they work.
Please get a decent mic and know your AirPods are not it.
And if that's all, there's certain
If that's
people who don't
all
make a
you get-
living at
Yeah.
interviewing, so I'll give them that. But if you are going to be a creator with your voice, you don't have to have this microphone,
But
but
get
an okay
get it-
microphone. Get
Get
something.
a $30 mic. I promise it'll be better.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
and the
I
reason is because if you sound like crap, it's not good.
Yes.
Let's just say that.
Yeah. Yeah. I will say to know the show, as a show, I try to explain to my guests, we're a living, breathing show. As in, your kid busts in and says something, we're going to roll with it. The dogs go crazy. It's life. It's fine. It's what we live in right now. Earth Station Boo says, please, that is the part of the editing process that takes the longest. Is if you don't have headphones and it's coming back to the microphone, or you're talking, it's echoing in your room, that's the worst. And I have actually told somebody, I was like, look, if you can't find some headphones, I'm sorry, we'll have to reschedule because it's just not working for me.
Well, and don't expect that even if, like, let's say you're interviewing somebody who is very technologically savvy, who knows their stuff. Don't assume that they're going to have high quality, because trust me, I've been down that path, and
Yeah.
it's not a happy path. So you can have you can have a one sheet about your show and have a one sheet for your guest that says, "Hi, thanks for being our guest. Here's links to our show. Here's links to our
Yeah.
social. By the way, this is if you have this would really be helpful. Let us know if you don't." Whenever I'm on someplace, they know, like I always tell people, I am so sorry, but I got this dog and he's going to be coming in and out because that's just the way it is. Because otherwise he might eat more of the carpet at the top of the stairs.
Hey, that's not my podcasting problem.
Oh, yes, it is, because I'm your co-host. But set them up so that they have a reasonable expectation of what they need. And I think we said this, but I'm going to put it up here too. Our station booth said, we always give our guests a time to talk about where they can find them, what they have going on. Links are in the show notes, plus support them on socials if they have something going on. So I have, like when we had Mark Gunn on here, I made sure that we promoted his Kickstarter for the Bards that I can't say. I just call them the Bards.
Sure.
So make sure that you know how to support them and have that ready to go. Have it in your show notes.
Now, something you said about getting the guests, you said go beyond social media, use niche communities, tour announcements, and other PR lists. What are you referring to?
So you can go, let's say that you're trying to find guests for your show. And so let's say you and I wanted to do something on, I don't know why we would do this, but let's just say LinkedIn, because it's the thing that came to my brain.
Okay.
I could go out there and look and see if there's anybody in a community that I'm connected to, that's their sauce, that's what they do. And I actually know somebody on LinkedIn, Portia, that does that as her main gig. So I would go get her.
Gotcha.
If I wanted to talk about running a convention, I've ran a convention. I've got friends that run conventions. So I would reach out to them. Use your circle, use your network. Don't be afraid to ask people what they know. And don't be afraid to get into, let's say, a Facebook group or, I'm going to say maybe a Reddit, but maybe not.
It depends on what you're doing.
Yeah, like Bob could go into a Reddit and look for something because Bob has been very heavily active on Reddit for years. So nobody's going to question him, but you just don't jump into Reddit and immediately start doing things like that.
Yeah, yeah.
They frown on that.
And well, the number one rule for any community is give before you ask.
Yes.
Give value. And Gary Vayner, this is 10, 15 years ago, Gary Vaynerchuk said even then, as YouTube and everything was coming up, you go into that community, you do 2 or 3 gives. You just, you don't even promote yourself. You just say, hey, bam, here's some value to the topic. Here's some value to the topic. Here's some my insight. And after the third one, then maybe you can go, hey, this is what I do if somebody'd like to come on and talk to me about it or something like that. Or I could be a guest. Typically what he found, now it might have changed a little bit now, but typically what he found was as you gave more value, then the mods or the community would start looking at your tag and going and finding your stuff. And that's how he built a whole lot of momentum. I don't know that nowadays people go searching a ton, but maybe. I know I do sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, depending on what format I'm on. Like here on the show, I'm not going to click on it. But in other scenarios, I'm like, oh, let me click on Earth Station Boo and see their setup. Like, oh, I see who you are and what you're doing. But if you just kick in and go, hey, I do a show called Be Awesome Together. Don't y'all want to come be awesome? Come be on my show. Here's my form.
Right.
Nobody. Well, okay, not nobody's going to sign up. Only the needy are going to sign up, in my opinion.
Yeah. Be selective. So you've got somebody on your show. You've got them booked. You've sent them the information. You've got their information. Do you share, so for Building Bold Connections in general, we do not share questions before the show.
Yeah.
Because we want that automatic response. But we did have a young lady she was a younger person, and she's in a very delicate job in terms of information, what she can and cannot say. And we had to give her the questions beforehand. And we actually even had a prior meeting where we talked and got comfortable with equipment and everything. So I do think that sometimes there's the need to do that. But I think at least sharing themes.
Oh yeah, like we're gonna be starting to go and recruit our own guests for Be Awesome Together, and it's gonna be, hey, we have this topic. We'll just go to lighting. It's easy to talk about. We're gonna have lighting, so we're gonna have a lighting person come on and talking about, hey, we're talking about from the beginner setup at the home, and then we can actually range out so you can talk about more studio setups, but really kind of focus them in like that. I guess it depends on the scenario. I'll do everything I can to make a guest feel comfortable. I'll meet ahead of time, test run things, but I'll tell them, like, look, this is for Wise and Nerdy specifically, and maybe even Be Awesome Together. It's like, it's a flowing conversation. So naturally we wouldn't get into certain things that would mess with your work, but I also am great at being the bad guy. So I'm a professional moderator at cons. This is what I do. So if I ask you something or we stumble in an area, and we'll come up with a fun catchphrase that they say, like, oh, you kicked my Kool-Aid or something dumb, and you put it back on me, right?
Right.
So they're never the bad guy, because I'm with you. I don't do well with pre-done questions, because then you have pre-done answers, and then it's just a dead interview to me.
Yeah, I think depending upon the nature of the conversation, like I'm getting ready to moderate for an academic conference, and I had to come up with pre-questions. So that everybody could look at them, because they're all going to have answers. And for that, where we're covering a topic where we want to make sure that we hit all the high notes that we need to hit. And also, I'm hoping they don't all say the same thing, but that'll probably happen. Sending that out there so that they have sort of a baseline, particularly if it's more in-depth research-oriented, technology-oriented. Then yeah, I think sometimes sharing at least some base questions can help. You can always do follow-ups and audience questions and
yeah,
stuff
it
like
just
that.
depends on what you're doing. For a panel on moderating, I absolutely ask the guests, what do you want to promote? Like your own personal thing, because you're obviously here for XYZ, whatever show or thing they do. What do you not want to talk about? What's the landmine? And,
Oh yeah, definitely ask that question.
So it depends on your show, and we're really talking about that chemistry of the host and the guest and how you work together here. But you always, as best you can, need to do a tech run.
Yes.
You need to. I always have our guests get on at least 15 minutes before, and sometimes if I
prefer
get a
half an hour.
vibe. Yeah, if I get a vibe like maybe this isn't going to work, a half hour, because the worst case scenario is everything works and it's great. And like last week, we spent 20 minutes just hanging out with Dad Bod Vet and chatting.
That had to be fun.
It was. And then we referenced in the main, and we record all of it on
jelly.
Patreon. And that's the other thing. Make sure your guest knows when and how you record.
Yep.
And so as Dad Bod Vet came in, and he's doing things like, hey, just so you know, we record everything for Patreon. So this part is not live. You'll know when we're live, because I'll count you in. You're going to see the thing on the countdown, whatever. You'll hear the music play. And then afterwards, when we're done, we're still recording. If there's something you just slip up and say, don't want it out there, let me know. I will cut it out. It's
Right.
not a problem. But we are recording everything. And then we get into the live show and we reference some of the stuff from Patreon. And we set it up. We're like, okay, we just indicate that we had a conversation. We were talking pre-show about XYZ, and this is why it's relevant right now. And
Well, and I think those opening moments when you get in together beforehand really helps you set expectations. It helps them understand the tone and the flow, and they think they get a sense, like if somebody's coming on here and they don't know us, they get a sense of how you and I interact with each other. And
Yes.
and that's a good thing in that kind of before time, besides just getting your tech set up. Um, and also, I think the other thing you can do is like having that phrase of if you've kind of not done them, they need to get out of something, so they can give that phrase to get them out of it. But also, there's a need, and I'm not the best at this. I am not good at this because I'm a Southern woman and I was raised to be polite. And I don't know how to tell somebody to shut the up in a nice way. I mean, I will do my darndest, but people do stuff. So, I think you're probably better at this. How do you gently steer somebody when they have they've taken their wagon and they've charging down the hill? And,
Leroy Jenkins.
yes, they've Leroy Jenkins. They're in their wagon and they have just chucked it all down the road.
All right, the gentle part is at first I'm like, yeah, that's not me, but it is. Okay, I get. Now on my shows, because I've messed with this before, we gave all this stuff up front. We said we do not do politics, and every time you're in this political turmoil, I do not care what decade, what month, what year, because this was 10 years ago and it was turmoil. We're like, hey, we're not going to touch these things because that's not what our show is about. And then this guy tried to dive in. And so after that experience, hey, God, thank you. After that experience, I'm a little more rough about it. Up front, I say, hey, here's how we flow. Here's how we do things. We are a family-based show. We're a comedy-based show. Blah. This is how we're going to do it. And then we go in and I said, I make it obviously with my tone and the way I approach them in that business professional. It's we're chatty. Okay, here, let me handle the business show. All right, Tyra, be awesome together is just what it sounds like. We're very positive. We uplift the community. We don't do gatekeeping here. And we definitely don't need any kind of politics or real world stuff unless somehow it relates directly to what you're talking about. So that's just not what we do. And with that tone and that business like demeanor, it makes it clear this is not what we're going to tolerate. So fortunately on my shows, nobody's had to do it. We have the control. I'd be like, in both of the shows that we're talking about here tonight, obviously you know me, and I'm gonna make some kind of joke like, we don't do that here. Come on, man, you're killing me, Small. And if they still don't get off of it, it just, where's my mouse? It goes just like this. Yeah, we're not going to talk about that anymore. That's not how this works in this show, and we're sorry to our audience for bringing them on like that.
I have power too.
I
by the
know.
way.
It's an example, Tyra. You gotta make the effect sometimes, because you gotta do it. You gotta cut people off.
Well, and so for me, what I was talking about there was actually when somebody is going on and on about something, not necessarily something that's they shouldn't be talking about, or any of those type, not going political when you don't want them to, but more of how do you get somebody who's just gotten on a point and
Yes.
you can't get them.
Or they're only saying yes, no answers, right?
Yeah. Well, yes, no, at least I will barrage you with follow-ups.
Yeah.
I will get you sooner or later. But how do you rein somebody back? I guess that's my question. How do you rein somebody back in?
Change the topic. Basically, I had a celebrity as moderating at a conference, and it was everything to me in time is arcs, right? It comes up, it has its real high moments, and depending on what's going on, hopefully things change or whatever, and then arcs down. And it was on the back end of that arc of the hashtag Me Too. I hate saying that it was on the back end because I'd like it to be like, hey, we're here and we don't do that to people, but it is where we were. It was being talked about less and less, and this actress talked about some issues that she had on a set, and at first it was really important, and I kept myself a chest. Okay, what she's having to say is important, but then something wasn't like a blatant switch. She didn't go crazy, but it was definitely a okay. It went from important to we're about to dive into rant territory. So I gently as I could, jumped in and went, man, that's it, whatever that's. I acknowledged her feelings, I acknowledged her story, and brought her back to asked her about something I knew was a pleasant experience for her. It's like, man, that must be night and day from XYZ. She took it and she ran with it. Because otherwise, I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do because this is about to get into a rant that's going to put this con and this guest into a really bad light.
Yeah. And I think that's hard. I think also the other time that it happens is when things get more emotional, which I'm fine with. Like, that's a different thing. Like, if something's getting deep and emotional and there's that moment of really connection and feeling, that can also be awkward. And knowing how to have the space for the moment, for the feelings, but then know how to twist and bring it back into something that's positive and uplifting. Our station Boo said, as a newer podcast, we did have a guest who tried to steamroll us and talk over us. This is why for our question set up, because I can say, hey, we haven't gotten there. The question was, let's try to stay on topic. Let's just say this is not a guest that's not going to come back. I had to edit out almost 10 minutes of rambling audio. I have been there, and it is no fun. And it's even worse when they're like a friend. Had that happen.
So when they're like a friend, I get a little bit more punchy. I get a little more punchy with that. But yeah, it is all about you. And as much as we will try to shape all the instruction and guidance that we give on this show in many different ways for people to grab onto it in whichever way it works, you just got to understand how it works for you.
Yeah.
And I love crowd work. I love aggressive crowd work. So you give me an excuse, you start rambling, I'm going to jump in there and mess you up a little bit and make me laugh, and you may not like it. But my audience will, because they'll be like, get him.
But
you know?
I don't know that that's what I want to do to a guest.
That's you, though. That's exactly, you're making my point.
Because
You're
they're
making
in our
my point
house.
exactly.
You know? So he would be doing that. I would be cringing and apologizing. It's going to be great,
Here might be
everybody.
Now, here you bring up a great point about working together.
Yeah.
And coming together. And we tend to both find that middle ground. If you just going off what you said a minute ago, if you're left to your own devices, somebody like, I don't know how to take care of this person. Left to my own devices, like, look, bleepity bleep,
Right.
this is not the way. But we do, on this show, we do come together. I am talking about in generalities. And you talk about that with your partner ahead of time. And here's the thing. You have to have grace and forgiveness for yourself and for your guests. You may not bring them back on, but you don't blame yourself. And if you did enough research to think that this might be a thing, then you knew it was going to be a thing. If you didn't do enough research, if they just came out of the blue, you couldn't handle that anyway.
Yeah.
So, I would dare say, if going to our extremes, if Tyra let somebody go on too long, or if I just jumped in was too aggressive, after the fact, we're like, hey, let's deconstruct that a little bit. Let's see how we can do better together next time.
Because we got to be awesome together.
That's right. So we do, and that is a very important point. Here's a question I have for you is because based on DragonCon, right? Based off of DragonCon, when we moderate something, when we do something with a guest at DragonCon, they are very blatant about if the guest asks you for a picture, you're welcome to take a picture. Do not ask the guest for a picture that you just moderated. Do not hang out with them. Do not try to be their friend. You have a job to do.
Right.
On a podcast, it's a little different, right?
Yep.
We are bringing somebody into our house. We are sharing our digital meal with them, as it were, and getting to know each other. When is it okay do you think, Tyra, to say, hey, could you recommend more people? Could you do something with us, for us?
You've
Whatever.
got to, I think first off, you have to be in the right, it has to feel good and right and that you've connected. And I don't think there's any way to say if X happens, then Y. It really is, you have to go off your gut. Don't do it just to do it. So like, let's say you're interviewing Big Shot A and you want to ask Big Shot A so that he can get you in with Big Shot C and D. don't just do it. You've got to like connect it on some way. Like I connected with a gentleman that I interviewed at Stellar Fest. I'm going to hopefully get him in at KSU because of that. But we had a wonderful connection as teachers, and his work with the unions and stuff that I want to talk about in a class. And so it made complete sense for me to do that ask. I didn't do that ask with other people that I interviewed because it wasn't appropriate. We didn't have that connection. So if you feel the connection and it's a real connection, not just one made up in your brain, then ask. Most people are gracious, and if that isn't their thing, they will graciously let you down. Then don't push. Do not push. Just don't. But like I have his email address now, and so one of the things I've got to do is email and talk about, hey, would you come and talk about this?
So that's another question. How many times do you hit somebody up before you let the silence be a no?
Twice for me.
Okay.
Like, I think
That's
once
about right.
because sometimes things can end up in junk mail folders or spam mail. There's always the chance for that. Be Awesome Together, our email ended up in somebody's spam mail. If it was somebody who was referred to you and you don't hear back from them, you might say, hey, bud, your friend that you referred us, I haven't heard back. I'm worried that maybe my email ended up in the spam folder. Could you let them know?
Yeah.
I think that's perfectly appropriate. But I think after two, you kind of say, gonna let that go. You know,
Yeah.
and don't ghost anybody. If somebody asks to be on your show and they're not a good fit, tell them that. And then let's say they're not a good fit for your show, but you have a buddy who they are a good fit for their show, refer them.
So what are some signs that a guest or a show isn't a good fit?
Gut. I mean, I don't know. I go on that a lot. Like,
Yeah, I use my
you know,
instincts
you
a
just
lot.
have to, you just feel it. Oh, what did we get here? Our station Buddha says a great guest connection is going to be organic. Yes, and I think that's true. Diva, I'm gonna pop back for just a minute. Diva Side asked if he was too late for Shelf Watch.
Yes, you are. Be here on time, volunteer.
Sooner or later, Shelf Watch will we're gonna, I don't know, that'll be what's on the shelf. But yeah, I think it is very organic.
I have something for that too. How we talk
Yes.
about at the beginning of the show, something that's bringing us joy. What's sitting on your shelf that makes you happy? And it's not literal; it's your joy shelf.
That's
after we
true.
actually get the literal shelf fixed. So,
I
yeah.
agree with that. I have a desk filled of things that bring me joy.
Yeah.
You know, those of us who are not, who's the lady who does the, if it doesn't bring you joy, you throw it out.
Oh yeah, I don't remember. I know when
Mon-
somebody says it, but I can't.
Can't remember her name. I know that Kaz is going to come through and throw it in the chat. And yeah, I'm not that girl. I'm not going to have just 20 books. Screw you, lady.
Once never mind.
Where were we? I've totally
we were
lost.
talking about the red flags, and you're right. The instinct has to be there. The vibe on it, right? I've definitely from this kind of plays into to everything for me. You know, I've definitely been friends with somebody. I've worked with a project with somebody. I've gone to work for somebody. I've hired somebody where other people were like, "Yeah, no, you wouldn't want to do that," but also grain of sand, right? I know the person I'm talking to, and where we're alike and where we're different. And there's definitely been times where, and I just felt it. I was like, now I feel like this person deserves a shot or whatever connects for whatever way, and it works. When I pick out new people for Dragon Con, 2 minutes. 2 minutes.
Okay.
And I don't want to tell Regina that, but I think she would trust me at this point because I've done it for so long. But it's like, no, they send me, there's a form you can fill out, and they will send it to us and say, hey, it might actually be from the Pro app,
Yeah.
Pro attending guest thing, but they don't show us all that. They just break it down to some basics and say, hey, would this work for you? And there's a link in there. And within 5 minutes or less, I'm going, yep, this would be great. Or no, thank you. And it's just it's a vibe. It's a feel. I know what I'm looking for in delivery and how you carry yourself, how you talk about things, and how even if I catch a good vibe, it can take a little bit longer because I want to know, besides just doing your show, what else can I do with you? You know, what can we
Right.
do? And I think that goes for guests. I mean, Tyra, I don't think we'll tell them on the Patreon after we'll record it. I don't ever think we talked about the first time you ever met me, like met me, and what my impression was, and what you thought. I've got an important one to talk about for you. But you just gotta, if you do a pre-meeting, which emails are pre-meetings, and they're slow to get back to you, or it just feels like they're not listening, you can really read off of everything how something's going to go, as long as you're making sure you're clearing your head. If you just had a fight with your significant other and you're trying to read an email, that could be clouding your instinctual judgment. Handling cancellations or ghosting. Now, okay, ghosting.
Don't ghost. Please don't ghost.
You ghost, you after you say you're going to be here and you don't, and I reach out and say, hey, what happened? What's going on? We did that. I did that recently. Tyra was unaware. Actually, it was not on Be Awesome Together. It was on Wise and Nerdy, but it was one
Wise and Nerdy.
It was Manny. It was Manny Faces. And he was supposed to be on Wise and Nerdy first, and I forgot to put him on the schedule. And so as Joe and I are getting set up out of habit, we just never, and of course, 30 minutes in, my notifications are basically turned off. So I'm not getting the email after email he's sending like, hey man, I'm supposed to be on tonight. But I followed up afterwards like, oh, I am so sorry. I just owned it all. I said, I'm so sorry to send another.
Yeah, no.
And it
Own
took
your
him a little
mistakes.
it took him a little while for him to get back to me because he got busy. I'm like, if he ghosts me, that's understandable. I appeared to be very unprofessional. I invited him, sent him the links. He showed up. I wasn't there. But neither one of us ghosted. Obviously, it worked out. He was a great guest on both shows. But if you truly ghost me, I will remember. I will remember. And don't come back. Man, I cannot tell you how many times I've reached out to a guest. They said yes, and they've ghosted. And then a year later, when my thing's hitting right in their niche or whatever, it's the hot thing for them to do, they don't remember me. They don't remember they ghosted me at all. I'm like, yeah, no, thank you. You're supposed to be on and I'll tell them, you were supposed to be on a year ago. You never showed up. You never responded. Go back, check your emails and see how many emails I sent following up. Not going to have it. Thanks. But you would handle it differently, I think.
Well, no, I would, the same thing. I probably wouldn't tell them. I just would say, no, I'm sorry. You're just not a good fit right now. Or in the words of Taylor Swift, bury the hatchet, but keep maps of where you put them. Because I hadn't worked in...
Things happen.
Cancellations,
right?
Things happen. Life happens. Always be gracious. Some things can happen in the middle of a show. I always try to assume the best of somebody. Like, don't go in assuming that they're an a-hole. Go in assuming that something happened, or that you effed up, like Charles did. So know that. But I think that the whole concept of just trying to approach things with grace and give people grace really helps. But yeah, I'm also of the Taylor Swift variety of I will forgive you maybe, but I'm not going to forget. Just communicate. Earth Station View said just communicate. So yeah, I think that's the biggest thing is to communicate and to try to let people know, like, hey, this is my email. Make sure you check your spam folder. So yes, as Earth Station View said, life happens. Just please communicate. And
some quick tips for respectfully declining someone who's not the vibe. Ejecting, honestly, there's no niceness to it. If somebody's not the vibe, I'm going to hit the send to the thing to take them off the stream. And actually, I'm not going to kick Cosmo. I'm going to look on her buttons. Yeah, I can hit kick once I put them into the green room. Okay, so you can absolutely kick. Yeah, it's not like we're on TV or radio. We're going to go to commercial break, and the producers are going to rush in like, "Hey, now you got to come with us." You got to handle it.
If you're rejecting somebody who is not on your show, but let's say they want to be on your show, I think you can just be honest and say, I don't know that we're the best fit for each other now, but in the future, maybe the show will change a little bit, or maybe what you're bringing to the table will change, and then let's circle back and see how that goes. You can also, if you don't want to do that, if they're just a jerk and you want them to, shoot them out the air hole, just say, hey, I'm sorry, we're booked up right now. I'll get back to you in the future if we have some space. Just let them, just say, hey, I am so sorry. We are really booked out. We don't really have a good topic for you. Let me tell you, I'm going to put you on our list. And when I think you'll be a good fit, I'll give you a contact.
Yeah. And Cos did come through as Marie Kondo.
It is Marie Kondo, the minimalist lady. And I do want to say out to Divsite, Kenny Chesney. I'm a little jelly. I love me some Kenny Chesney beach island music. Anyway, so let's see. What are we going to do here before we leave? Your network is your power. Absolutely. Use your network to find people. And also, network's also great because then you can get a recommendation from somebody. Somebody's a guest, ask them, do you have somebody who you think would be a good guest on the show?
Yes.
Ask for recommendations.
I did that last week with Dad Bod. Like,
Good
hey,
for
man,
you.
You seem to have a great time. We loved you. We'd like to have you on again. And if you know people who now you know the vibe, and he did that look up to the whatever the memory one is, look up to the left or the right, I forget what it's like. Oh yeah, I know a couple people right now that would be great. I'll send them your way. Yeah, if he does, he does. If he doesn't, he doesn't. That's okay. But
right,
you always leave the door open.
You've put it out there. You know, the answer is no if you don't ask.
And honestly, I have gotten so many great guests just because I asked when nobody else would, when they were afraid of it. And now I'm kind of reaching that position of people think I'm so busy or I wouldn't want to be on their show. And while my busy window is closing to be on any show, I've literally been on any show. I went and hung out on a show called Geek IO that was just some guys and ladies having fun talking nerd stuff. And
nice.
it was very grassroots and very raw. But it was a lot of fun. And I had fun because they were having fun and I was having fun. That was all it was. Couldn't tell you how many people listened. Right. And they definitely are not on the professional scale, but it's a blast.
But you had a good time.
I had a great time, but that window is closing. And so, I mean, I always want to have it open, but at some point, I'm going to get paid to go on the Joe Rogan show. When I'm doing that and having to manage that schedule, it's hard for me to get on. Take the opportunities you have. You know, we have a room in the digital media track Discord that says need a guest. Mm-hmm. And people keep putting it on. And I actually, hey, thanks, Wade Acuff, for following. Even though for some reason it didn't pop up quite correctly on the screen.
I know, so weird.
But I keep putting it out there. I am available. And now's the time, especially for Dragon Con, to come on. Let's play. And I might not be your fit, and that's fine. Like Earth Station Boo, I'm the same way as Tyra. If it's not about my boo from 1990s, the song, I don't know about it because I'm not a horror person. But I think what you do is awesome. And if there's an opportunity for me to come do something, I'm always open to it. And that's the thing.
So, boo for those who don't like boo.
I mean, there's a few things. I like
I wasn't
Dead
talking
Space,
about
the video
you.
game. No, it's always about me, Tyra. This is the time of the show where it's about me.
No, it's not.
Like
So,
Mr. Rogers. I'm putting
how
on
do
my
I-
sandals, talking about.
Okay, now that I've gotten rid of Charles, I found out that I have power, and it was awesome. So I'll let him back on.
Thank you. I was trying to find my mouth to do it.
So I figured out how to get him off. There is always Horror Light. Yes, Horror Light would probably be Tyra. And that's the other thing, kind of be able to adjust. But I think Earth Station Boo said networking has saved us from some crazy guest. Don't, you know, there's something you should always do. If you have a guest that is circling the podcast realm and they suck, tell other people. Gently, in behind the scenes ways, but tell you don't really want them on. They were a nightmare.
And find out why. Because I've definitely done a trash type show where nightmares were my thing. So, like, please let me come mess with somebody who is not doing well. But, you know, we have a few episodes that are family friendly. Quotey fingers, I love it.
So our bonus tip for the day is don't forget to follow up with thank yous. That's thank you when you're a guest, saying thanks for having me on. Hey, let me know when the follow-ups are, when things are posted. Make sure you tag me. But also send a thank you to your guest. I am horrible at this. And you can have, kind of standard emails that you can cut and paste to be able to do that. And shout out to Mike Faber. He's been a godsend for Earth Station Boo. I love Mike. It's one of our dearest friends.
And such.
I love Mike and Judy. Judy's Mike's wife, and she does not get her praises sung for putting up with all the Earth Station stuff. so, so Charles, just kind of bringing us in here because it's time, and I got family I got to go see.
Do you though? Do you really want to though?
Yes, I
Do you
like
really?
these are the ones I like.
So my tip is, as a guest, always publicly say that you're on that episode and say thank you and be grateful. Or if it's a really bad experience, be gracious in how you talk about it, but talk about it, because I've got a lot of cool friends who have a lot of followers, and if they would just say, I was on Wise and Nerdy and loved it, or I was on Be Awesome Together and loved it, it would really help us out a lot. And they don't think about it because they're not bad people. They're not trained to be guests yet, and they don't know that little thing of you just going, man, loved being on this, is a great experience. It means the world to everybody. So please, as a guest, no matter what level you are, always say it was a pleasure, it was an honor, I was grateful for being on the show.
Absolutely. And I'm going to show you what I do as a guest, as a follow-up, as it loads. There we go. So I have an appearance page on my website, and on that page, I have links to the podcasts that are still active that I've been on, so that I can say, hey, I was on Wait, you haven't seen, and here I am. So I've got links to them so that I can just throw them up on my socials if I'm looking for something. But also, this is a place where I can talk about all these shows that I've been a part of. And so as a guest, make sure that you are doing this sort of thing. It helps you keep track of it, first off. But second off, it's a great way for you to give some love to the podcast that you were on.
Yeah, I was doing research on somebody I was going to moderate, and they had that. So I was able to go through. They literally had linked to every single episode they've been a guest on. So I got to pick 3 or 4, put them in my podcast player, and really get to know them in different styles of interviews before I went and interviewed them at a conference. Perfect, Tyra. That's awesome.
You know, that's what I'm here for.
Is you're here for perfect, and I'm here for realness. All right, Tyra, what are we doing next week?
I don't remember. Oh, we're doing marketing. Next week is actually the launch officially of Be Awesome Together as our standalone property. And we are going to do marketing part 2. So if you enjoyed last week, we're going to show you the nitty-gritty horribleness of us trying to put all this together. And there might have been some curse words, lots of them. And I'm going to show you the story of a logo and how it develops and goes crazy. And just so everybody knows, Charles is the one who asked for more pink.
I did. I loved it. I think it fits. It vibes.
I'm just saying,
So-
I was, just so everybody knows, he was the pink one.
Now my monitor is across the room, and it's like a little 30-inch TV that's not the highest quality. And while I can't read our logo, it pops. I can see the blue from here. I can see the words separated. It looks great from this distance. So,
Well, and
I
we
think
also
we did well.
we did our first Facebook post tonight on the Be Awesome Together Facebook page, and you can see our lovely pink. And I should probably go follow Be Awesome Together. Since Charles was our first fan, so that was very
Yes.
important. But
I like being number 1.
yeah, just leaving that over there.
I will leave it there.
so
So-
that's what we're going to talk about marketing part 2 and share our trials and tribulations.
And as it stands, we may actually be doing it live at location next week, because Tyra's going to need to be somewhere in Atlanta. I'm like, you know what? We can always try to do this together. We should have to have. I mean, if I bring my phone, we should have some kind of internet somehow. So
Well, you know,
we're gonna figure it out.
I'm going to be down at the Marriott Marquis, and it's not Dragon Con.
Yeah, so it should be okay. We'll find us
It'll be weird.
a cool little place to be.
I've got a room, Charles. We don't have to find someplace.
I have a wife, Tyra. Thank you, though.
I have a
appreciate the
husband
offer.
and a Shriner, and I'm not going to. Oh, by the way, downtown Atlanta next week, Shriner Central. And Sunday night, there's going to be a parade in front of the Hyatt of all the fun Shriner vehicles and cars and stuff. My husband will be in one of them.
So come
Yes.
move with us.
Come move with us. It'll be exciting.
Patreon.com/BeAwesomeTogether show. There are no paid anything
No,
right now.
there's
We're
nothing.
getting it. But you can follow as a free fan, and then as we build
Yes.
out, you can decide if you want to support us. We're going to have stuff like templates for letters you send to the guests beforehand
Absolutely.
and after. We're going to have templates.
I'll have an
of
email
what you-
packet.
We're going to have all kind of cool stuff that you can get as members. Right now, just go and follow for
Just
free
get us.
so you can know what's going on. It'll keep us from being canceled because we already started one a little while back and somehow got canceled.
I know, it
what
did not
happened.
like us. It did not
Yeah.
like us. But anyway.
The website's under construction, beawesometogethershow.com. Instagram is under construction, Be Awesome Together Show. Go ahead and follow all these so you can be first as well. You're going to be the insider club. You're going to be the awe and awesome. So, because, Tyra's going to be like, aw, thank you.
I will every single time.
I think we've got a few people already signing up on Facebook tonight. Facebook is Be Awesome
Fabulous.
Together. Twitch is Be Awesome Together, or Be Awesome Together Show. It's not in front of me, so I'm not entirely sure, honestly, right this second. We'll have that more in the notes. And YouTube is Be Awesome Together as well. So there is all that. And email us at beawesometogether@gmail.com. And any final things you'd like to say, Tyra?
I would just like to say that recording with Charles is always an adventure.
Where can they find you?
Oh, I'm at tyraburton.com.
And I am at linktree/RGOP42 or charlesmcfall.com, which still looks like I made it 5 years ago because I did.
You did.
All right, everybody. Next week, we're going to be awesome, possibly really together. So come check out Marketing Part 2. Also, Earth Station Boo, there's a horror track at DragonCon. I can come talk about that. Thanks.